Last week we were talking about Georgia and a report out of Georgia that actually it was a request, public information request that was made, and information was not provided by the counties. And as a result, what is lacking in Georgia in their mail-in ballots was the chain of custody, the documentation in over 400,000 mail-in ballots. Now, this is a big issue because in H.R. 1, it basically calls for universal mail-in balloting. Why is that a problem? Well, because it becomes a fodder for it's not absolute, but it creates an environment in which fraud is easier. But here is a new study that just came out of Nevada, I think just one county in Nevada, that shows very similar problems. Joining me now to talk about this, J. Christian Adams, President and General Counsel of the Public Interest Law Foundation, which is focused heavily on voter integrity, election integrity, I should say. Christian, welcome back to the program.
Thanks a lot, Tony.
Okay, so tell our listeners what you have uncovered there in Nevada.
Well, Nevada is a great example of how vote by mail produces bad outcomes. And in Nevada, we now know, in Clark County alone, which is Las Vegas, there were 93,000 mail ballots that were sent out to bad addresses where the voters actually didn't live. And that's at a minimum. We know at least 93,000 because that's what bounced back through the mails. And the problem in Nevada is you have bad voter rolls and the state that goes completely automatic mail balloting. And when you do that, it's the worst mix because you have ballots going to places where the voters no longer live.
So let me ask you a question on that. What are the odds that someone who gets a ballot that's not theirs that could cast that ballot? Can that happen?
Oh, there's nothing to stop it. That's the problem. And there's no way really to detect it. That's why you don't want to build a system to have an election that has so much slack in it, that has so much decentralization where ballots are just flying through the post office. And not only that, Tony, don't forget, mail balloting disenfranchises people because we know the post office loses at least 5% of the ballots. They don't get there in time. So it's just a terrible way to run an election, and now we're getting data that show it.
Now, isn't that what is at the heart of, there's many things in H.R. 1, but this is a key part of it, is it not?
Yeah, everything bad that happened in 2020 is about to become federal law if it passes the Senate. And that includes universal vote by mail, a whole bunch of other stuff we could spend an hour on. But the Democrats in the Congress are going to institutionalize and federalize elections with H.R. 1, and they're doing this because they know if they federalize elections, they can have ideological bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. controlling the entire election process nationwide, and that's what they want to have happen.
So, J. Christian Adams, let me put this in perspective here. Clark County, one county, that's Las Vegas, 92,000 ballots that were, undeliverable, bad addresses. We don't know, how many may have been used in the wrong way, but the margin of victory in Nevada was only 33,000 votes.
Right, and this is only one county. It doesn't include Washoe, which is Reno, Nye, which is Pahrump. We went to these places. The Public Interest Legal Foundation, I went out with a camera crew, and we went to the addresses where people were voting from vacant lots, from casinos, from pot shops, like pipes and liquor stores, and an abandoned mine. I mean, you can watch this if you Google Public Interest Legal Foundation Nevada film or video. And that just is not how we should be running an election where people are voting from abandoned mines.
I mean, we don't have problems with our property tax rolls. I mean, almost every tax assessor knows exactly who's at what address. And when it comes tax time, they know how to get that money. Why do we have such a hard time when it comes to casting a vote? Isn't it just as valuable to our republic?
Because election officials around the country are not speaking with the tax assessors. They're not looking at other data that Public Interest Legal Foundation did. They're not communicating to figure out which of these are actually, like I said, casinos. I mean, we found people registered to vote. I should say we found registrations at casinos. We couldn't find the people. We tried. We couldn't find the people at the abandoned vacant lots in Las Vegas. We tried, but they're not talking to each other, and that's why this happens.
Well, the answer is not H.R. 1. The answer is for state legislatures across the country to address these issues, but that will only happen. It is happening to a degree right now, but the public has to demand that state legislatures fix these problems.
Exactly, and they can fix the problems. We have a list of best practices we've proposed for state legislatures, one of which is banning private money to run election offices like happened last time.
Yes.
That's the worst thing that happened in the 2020 election.
Yes, that was actually an issue we talked about in Georgia last week, where 350 ballot boxes were put up across the state in key places because they were funded by Zuckerberg and the $350 million that he put into that nonprofit. J. Christian Adam, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll make sure we get a link to that resource on our website so people can take a look at it.